And welcome back. Okay. Let's try that again. Welcome back to the Constitutionals Podcast. I'm your host, Chad White. If you didn't know, this is the premier podcast for the website, cpluscomedy.com. I am here doing another episode of this show. Things are happening. Good things are happening in the world. As if you don't know, bad things also are happening too. You know what? This might not be the most. Excuse me. Let me just lower my voice here. This might not be the most interesting episode, nor might it be the funniest. Might not be the funniest because we are dealing with some things in the world that are very, very bad. So why don't we just start out with the bad? There was the shooting of George Floyd, and of course this will all tie back to whatever this podcast is about. As I've said before, it's entertainment, business, other stuff podcast. But listen, hey, there's some actual things happening in this world. So there was a shooting of George Floyd, and Tamara, excuse me, I think it might have been Tamara Reed. Tamara Reed. Oh shoot. Okay. Well, and Ahmaud Arbery, and then the EMT Tamara. I believe that's her name. And when this happened in the midst of a pandemic, but now we have the protests, and as of yesterday, these other three cops have been arrested and charged with third-degree murder, and the cop that originally killed George Floyd has been arrested as he got second-degree murder, and it really sparked a sort of pseudo-revolution in the world. People are protesting. People are defying stay-at-home orders and risking their lives, literally, emotionally, and they're going out there marching and everything, and it's great and it's good. There was some looting, that's bad. There was some violence from the police, violence towards the police, and eye for an eye is bad because some of the worst people in the world believe in that, like our great president. Oh, he believes in eye for an eye. He does, and he did mention in an interview. As we speak, George Floyd's memorial service is going on right now. I was watching that at work. I watched a couple of minutes, and I saw Kevin Hart and Ludacris were there. And at the beginning of George Floyd, if you don't know, obviously you should know this by now, because if not, where the F have you been? He was the cop that was charged with second-degree murder, put his knee on George's neck for 8 minutes and 46 seconds, and Mr. Floyd passed away like 6 minutes into that, I believe, something close to that. So civil unrest happened, but at these funerals where these tragic things happen, and they're obviously going to be on television because they need to be televised. This is not Prince's funeral. Prince passed away. Robin Williams passes away. Joan Rivers. I don't know why I said Joan Rivers, but these are not famous people. I don't think at the beginning of the service, when Kevin and Ludacris were talking to, just each other and other people, there were photographers there taking, just photography. I don't think we need that. I don't even think we need, the memorial service can be on TV, which is a good thing. But then you don't need a photographer there taking candid vanity shots of someone sitting there. Sorry, excuse me, I'm writing down the title of the show. Sitting there trying to watch his funeral. I don't think we need any of that. And then throughout the funeral, even though I was on a Zoom meeting call, we don't need to see any of that. Speaking of the Zoom meeting call, it was the network put together a Zoom call for the people that worked there. It was optional, and it was a Zoom meeting to discuss the goings on in the country and what white people can do to be better. And it was 185 people there, including TV personalities, and 17 people who I can only presume were white had to ask the question, don't all lives matter? Which is insane. And the VP of the networks and everybody had to explain at least 2 or 3 different times that, yes, everyone's life does matter. But right now, in this exact moment in time, it is black people getting killed by the police. And, or assaulted or just bullied or bothered by the police. And in a larger view, the white people around them. I can only say that one more time. That is insane that you still have to ask that question. I'm sure even on the local list of news channels that they have stories going, yes, it is true. Everyone's life does matter. But right now black people are being bullied. It's so anyway. Where was I going? Oh, so we had that meeting and they were just talking about that type of stuff. So that was nice to have. Out of 185 people were there for an hour and some change. I had to leave because I was done with work, and I just had to get out of there. So that being said, let's get on with the stories that relate to the largest part of this. Look at the timer really quick. Timer's off by a couple of minutes because I started this. This comes from Deadline, written by Dino Ray Ramos. ViacomCBS unveiled 8-minute, 40-second blackout video tribute to George Floyd. So, as I said before, the cop was kneeling with his knee on Mr. Floyd's neck for 8 minutes and 46 seconds because he gave a possible counterfeit bill to a convenience store, which, by the way, I heard on NPR that this convenience store, they typically train people to not call the police because it's just not worth the hassle. And it's also owned by Middle Eastern people. That means nothing, but still. And so this newish person called the cops because this person just didn't know that they don't do that. So don't blame the convenience store. Just go to the convenience store and stop looting things. It doesn't make sense. So ViacomCBS put up an 8-minute, 46-second video in solidarity for George Floyd. And this wasn't just a thing they put on CBS, on BET. They put it on every single network they own. That includes CBS, BET, CMT, the Country Music Television Network, TV Land, VH1, MTV, and the child-focused Nickelodeon. This is at 5 p.m., during the day, during the week. Sorry, they're cutting grass outside, and I sat down knowing that this was going to happen, so I'm going to speak just a little bit louder as I turn down the microphone volume, as I turn down the gain. So this is serious business. This is serious business because, all across the country, the world even, people are not only having to explain this coronavirus business to their children, but people of color, particularly black parents, are having to explain to their children that you have to, and this happens every single day, by the way, you have to be careful going outside because certain people might hate you. And they might hate you for no reason at all. They might hate you because you're darker than them. They might hate you because you dress different, but they're going to hate you. And that's what people like me have been taught their entire lives. Just a couple of days ago, I've been starting to go on walks at night. I go on a walk every Sunday because I'm insane. But I've been starting to go on walks at night, and this is 2 days ago. 2 days ago, we're trying to solve racism. 2 days ago, and those other cops have already been arrested. All 4 cops have been arrested. And I go for a walk, and I'm down the street, and somebody has parked their car in front of their house, and they've already locked the door because I could hear the beep from, let's say, 100 yards away. 100 yards? That's a football field. 50 yards away. And then as soon after, so I'm about to go on Pathstone Mountain, so I'm about to cross the street, but I'm passing by this car. And I'm giving way too much information where I live. I'm leaving in August. But here's the car, and then here's me. If you're watching the video, I urge you to do so. I'm passing by the car, and the person locks their car again. And mind you, they're already at the house, which is maybe like 50 yards away. So I'm passing the car, and like it's too far for you to lock the door again. And things like that happen all the time to every single person of color ever, mostly black people, but every single person of color has to deal with that all the time. I was going to say the S word, but I did not, because this is a clean show, even if I'm angry. And it's ridiculous that we still have to go through things like that. That we have to deal with that. Also, it's a Honda Accord. Also, you're wearing a polo. Also, if I was going to rob you, I would just do it. That's what I think about all the time. If I was going to rob you, I would just take a hammer to the windshield. It's anyway. So keep that in mind. Stop. If you see a black person coming your way and you want to cross the street, don't, because they don't want to rob you. I'm telling you that right now. So ViacomCBS allowed this and Paramount Network, Comedy Central. It did on everything it owns. Smithsonian Channel, TV Land, Logo Media, CBS Sports, and this is amazing. This is it's just to support justice and social equality in America. And an eternal memo from ViacomCBS president, excuse me, just trying to adjust the gain as I try to read at the same time. President of Entertainment and Youth Brands, Chris McCarthy, announced Sunday that all entertainment and youth brands and platforms are going dark for that time, 5 p.m. on Monday, which marks the blah, blah, blah. Excuse me, not blah, 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 but the time which George Floyd was killed. The time will not only serve as a tribute to Floyd, but as a tribute to all those who have been victims of racism, including Ahmaud Arbery, Breonna Taylor, that's her name, and countless others. Countless others. Jesus. They also went dark in 2018 for 17 minutes in solidarity with the National School Walkout for the honor of the 17 students of Marjorie Stoneman Douglas High School in Parkland, Florida, who were killed. We shouldn't have to continue doing this, but yeah, here we are. And I'm not going to be up here preaching, because I'm sure you've heard countless news reports, countless podcast hosts, countless radio hosts just talk about this stuff. I got my car today after work, and I have SiriusXM until September. No big deal. And I left my car on Zoo 100, and the host, a song just ended, and then the host, that was Scooter McNeely, I believe. I think he was sitting in for somebody else, or somebody was sitting in for Scooter, which it doesn't matter. The host, he said, Justin Bieber had a great idea yesterday. He said everybody should get out and vote. Okay, so our next song is going to... And I just thought, whoa, hold on. You can't say something like that and then not have 4 to 5 sentences explaining why it is important to vote or anything. That was the worst non sequitur that anyone's ever seen before. I just thought that was funny to mention, because I got to inject some type of laughter into this stupid show. So next one comes from The Verge before we go to break. Written by Nick Statt and John Porter. Spotify, Apple Music, YouTube, and Amazon unite in support of Blackout Tuesday. So Blackout Tuesday, which we'll talk about a little bit more in the next segment, was a thing where you go on your social media and you post just a black picture in solidarity with it's the social justice movement. We'll get to that in a second. How I feel about how I and others feel about that. And Spotify added 8-minute and 46-second moment of silence to select playlists, which is just wonderful. Apple Music's Beats One radio programming was canceled. And instead of streaming station that celebrates music produced by black artists. I mean, some of the stuff that that companies are doing are just things that could be done during Black History Month, which probably were done in Black History Month. I'm just knocking it because it's just Donate to causes. That's great. Donate to causes, but you just playing, I'm going to play some hip hop music. I'm going to play some jazz. That can happen anytime. But if you can get people, call to actions to donating, I think that's better. The action is part of a broader movement in the music industry. A number of record labels are participating in Blackout Tuesday, following a call to action from Atlanta Records marketing chief Jamila Thomas and former Atlantic employee Brianna Aguiamang. It was a pretty good pronunciation. That started with the hashtag the show must be paused. There was a Whiteout Wednesday. I don't know what that was, and I chose not to click on why it was trending. Because it could only be racist or it's the second part of Blackout Tuesday. I'm still waiting for Red Out Friday. You can put jokes into things sometimes. Listen, before we go to break, I do want to say that Conan came back this week, and he's been talking to people who could give him shedding more light on the situation. He felt that this week was not a time for jokes. He's been skipping monologues and just talking to people like Van Jones and W. Kamau Bell. And it's just been very constructive conversations. If you do want to see it, go to ConanTeamCoco.com. Let's see who else has been doing some pretty nice things. Colbert did it as well, but he had a traditional show. I believe Kimmel, Seth Meyers did one. His episodes this week. He's been talking to Leslie Jones and Michael Che. And he talked to Mayor Keisha Lance Bottoms of Atlanta. So yeah. Listen, we're going to take a break, and when we come back, we're going to talk more about this. And we are back. I decided to trick myself, and oh my God, this is the loudest thing in the world. Decided to trick myself and just start randomly. I'm going to reset the timer. Here we go. All right. So we talked about what streaming services did. We talked about what ViacomCBS did. Now, other companies obviously joined in. I believe the companies include HBO, WarnerMedia, Lionsgate, Starz, Disney, Netflix, Hulu, Nike. Basically a who's who put up different posts in regards to supporting social justice movements, social justice reform, Black Lives Matter, and all different types of manners of things. Even the NBA Coaches Association, the NBA did, NFL, MLB, hockey, I believe, maybe even Premier League soccer. I don't know the different MLS. They all had different posts up, which is really, really nice to see. It's it's great to see all this happening. Sometimes you see, E.T. when it was released on Blu-ray, I believe they were re-released. They erased the guns from the climax where E.T. Was trapped inside the house with Ethan, I believe that's his name, the boy, and the cops had guns and they replaced them with walkie-talkies. Sometimes companies do silent things like that, but to see them step out and do this is great. Now, on the other hand, I don't have to hear from every celebrity. You don't have to hear from Javier Bardem saying racism is wrong, because we know racism is wrong. We don't have to see Beyonce put out a video on Instagram saying everybody needs to be nice to each other. I didn't watch the video, but I'm just the gist of it. Yeah, I can guess. Get context clues. Everybody needs to be nice to each other, and we need to treat each other with respect, and all that. It's nice. Of course, she obviously shares those feelings and everything. But sometimes you see people put up, on a social media, or they'll put up op-eds and say, "Where are the celebrities?" Where we know celebrities, while it is their job to say things in the public spotlight, when something really, really bad happens, we can kind of get the gist. But that being said, I was talking to a friend who was a reporter yesterday, about. I said that almost that exact anecdote, and she said, "Well, I agree, but doesn't it make sense for Beyonce to do that because maybe she can reach somebody that doesn't exactly share the same thoughts?" And I countered. I said that is true. Countered it was saying that person is not going to see Taylor Swift tweet to Donald Trump, "We're going to get you out of the office come November, and you're a bad person, and you just want to incite violence." Or Beyonce do the video. That person's not going to look at that and go and like be a supporter of Trump and go, "You know what? Taylor's right. I'm going to switch sides now." So it's kind of multi-layered and kind of deep and all kind of difficult to discern. Now, I want to get back to Disney really quick. They step out on this social justice reform, but ever since John Boyega became part of the Star Wars universe, there have been massive racists just saying things, and about Daisy Ridley too, saying things like they shouldn't be a part of the franchise, or there's not a black stormtrooper or whatever. There's the women's Skywalkers. What is the not the lightsaber, women Jedi. They should, like, these things shouldn't exist. And Disney never came to their defense. Like, even if they did, it was probably like, we support all of our actors, blah blah blah. But John Boyega had a pretty run of the mill speech yesterday in England. And look, this goes back to the famous people saying stuff. I get it. They're kind of expected to, but this is a really big tragedy. So, I mean, do they really need to? But he gave like a run-of-the-mill speech yesterday, and Disney's like, "We support him, and he's right. We step behind you and everything." And they were so gung-ho this time. And I'm not the only person that shares that thought. There was a post on AV Club. Somebody, that writer, shared the same exact thought. They supported him this time. Peloton, Facebook, Nike, they all said something. Although I believe a guy, I was on my LinkedIn yesterday. I was on LinkedIn yesterday for the first time in months. And a guy, somebody that I'm connected with on LinkedIn is also connected with another person who was working at Facebook, and this person said, I cannot stand by Facebook and their atrocities that they said, that they're not going to take down Donald Trump's posts and blah, blah, blah. And, it had like 400 LinkedIn likes. And I thought, that is the most, Facebook's not the best company. Neither is Twitter, neither is Reddit. Any place where you can anonymously go and say racist things, it's not a good company. And I just thought that person is overreacting. So yeah, there you go. I thought that was so dumb. And he put it, and this is on the internet now. Like, I believe it's being spread around. So now let's get back to this Blackout Tuesday thing. I probably should have put these in order, but I didn't. Whose fault is that? It's mine. This comes from The Verge again, written by James Vincent. Oh, also, before I get to this, IGN, I listened to Podcast Unlocked, which is their Xbox podcast. And Ryan McCaffrey, the host, is a white man. And he started off the show with about half an hour of him and the guest host, who was black, whose name escapes me, and Destin Legary, who's an editor at there, and Miranda Cosgrove, I don't know her name, Sanchez, because she's the only brown person I know that works at IGN, and McCaffrey and the rest of the gang. They talked about George Floyd and how bad this is, and they're talking about how they're going, and IGN is going to now try to lift up black voices. GameSpot, they didn't post anything on Blackout Tuesday, or along with the rest of the world. Games media is notoriously bad for people of color. I'm gonna put a blanket statement out there. It's people of color. Sometimes you see Miranda Sanchez, you see one or two Asian people at GameSpot. I've never seen a person of color at Polygon, and Kotaku just lost this black girl who was a writer, and I can't remember her last name, but she was great. Can't remember her last name. She was great. Games media is perfect for white men and okay looking white women. I'm joking. That was mean. That was very mean. It's good for frumpy white men and okay looking white women. I'm not gonna take it back. No, it's really, but it really is okay for white people. Whereas I've never seen on Black History in February, the last day in February, I believe it was IGN or GameSpot. They had like 2 hours streaming of black creators playing video games. That means nothing until you hire IGN's faces, their hosts and everything, completely white. GameSpot, they have 1 or 2 Asian people included with the completely white. Everywhere else, it's completely white. And it's sickening to see the leading game journalism companies in the world, and they don't hire people of color. It's like when I play a video game and they give you an option to choose, I usually make a female, a dark-skinned female, like I did for Diablo 3. Her name is Sexadratus. For Skyrim, I made Chandler, and she's kind of an Indian-looking. Anyway, she's a warrior, and I mean it just doesn't. You can say it now, but for the past 30 years you've been around, it's always been about white people. Any Hoosers, the Blackout Tuesday posts were drowning in the Black Lives Matter hashtags. So people were posting their black squares on Instagram, but they're using the hashtag Black Lives Matter, which means it was pushing down relevant and good Black Lives Matter posts that weren't part of Blackout Tuesday, which is you don't want that to happen. So that was a big issue, and if you have to use a different hashtag for this, I mean that's just kind of one of the negative aspects, besides the other races that people come across when it comes to this whole social protesting thing. You got to have like minds. Everybody's got to be on the same page. You can't be like on one side can't be Black Lives Matter, the other side can't be we got to loot, and those two can't work. They're not working in concert. You got to be on the same wheel. So there was that. Listen, we got 2 more things. We got 2 more things that don't have anything to do with race, because I know there's people out there like, I don't want him talking about race. That's what happens, man. I'm a Negro living in the white world. That's going to be the name of my just stop whispering. It's going to be the name of my autobiography. Listen, HBO Max is off to a bumpy start. This comes from CNBC. I did not turn off my ad block, so it's going to bring up the pop-up. Written by Sarah Whitten. HBO Max has bumpy start. Isn't a game changer for AT&T, analyst says. Key points. Everybody, all the reviews, including the one I had, said it was a, quote, odd hodgepodge of content. And it's true. There is a focus on older titles instead of new originals. They only launched with 6 new originals, including the Elmo show and the Anna Kendrick show and some other things. Things I have not seen. On the Record, Bake Till You Fake, I don't know. Decorate Till You Bake, I think, and something called Legendary. Something else too. It is an amalgam of different things, and maybe that's not to its detriment. However, I think they need to lean into the aspect of not curation, but the ability to, like, they have the backlog from TBS and TNT and Cartoon Network. They have all that stuff. They need to bring it all together. Turner Classic Movies. There's a lot of good stuff on there. I swiped through it today and added a couple of movies to my list. I just got bored by that one sentence. AT&T's HBO Max has had a bumpy launch due to confusing branding, consumer uncertainty about how to get the product, and limitations on consumers on how consumers actually can watch the product. That comes from Evercore ISI. They said in an investor's note on Sunday. AT&T also did not secure the deals with Roku and Amazon to make it available to a wider market. I think the problem is a lot of people are comparing this to Netflix. And again, this is not supposed to be a Netflix competitor. I think it's supposed to be, and even John from AT&T, the CEO, said it was not supposed to be a competitor. It's supposed to be something that can work in tandem with it because there's different things going on in the streaming world. Let's see. Giant. What's his name? Excuse me. I'm trying to look up this guy's last name, and there's the analyst at ISI said, "We see little chance that investors will begin to look at AT&T on a sum of the parts basis, valuing HBO Max on a per subscriber basis, as with Disney and Disney Plus." Just under 90,000 people downloaded the HBO Max app on its launch day last week. I'm 2 of those. No, 4 of those. PlayStation, Xbox, phone, iPad. Yeah. That doesn't include any of the existing HBO and HBO Now customers who may have been automatically switched to the HBO Max service. Around 8 million people have HBO accounts, but it's unclear of how many of them took advantage of the new HBO Max subscription. I know that my sister didn't even know HBO Max was a thing. I mentioned HBO Max, and she was like, "What is that?" She's like, "What's that?" HBO Max Everscore said it's a good product with a strong content lineup, solid but not particularly distinctive user interface, and a backing of a highly regarded brand. I do believe that the user interface is better than HBO Go. That's just bottom line. Bottom line, better than HBO Go. And we're going to end on a lighter note. Disney Plus. Mad Men is leaving Netflix, and I have got to buy Mad Men on Blu-ray so I don't have to worry about watching the show, not being able to watch the show ever again. There was a deal with this is not the story, but there was a deal that Lionsgate signed with Netflix in 2012 to put all of its shows on there and stuff. And now the deal has not been renewed, and it expires at the end of June. So, yeah. This final thing comes from The Verge again, written by Julia Alexander. Disney Plus now streams The Simpsons in its proper aspect ratio, but it wasn't easy. If you're a little pissy person and you're mad that all of the pre-season 21 episodes of The Simpsons, so everything from season 20 backwards, were not presented in 4:3 because they switched to HD in 2000. No. Everything from 19 down was 4:3. In season 20, when the movie came out, the show switched to 16:9. So if you're one of those people that was pissy that you couldn't see The Simpsons in its original aspect ratio, it's now back on Disney Plus in its aspect ratio. All you got to do is toggle the switch. You can toggle anytime. But it was very difficult to do. The team that worked on it created multiple facets, quote unquote, which essentially created flexible combinations of audio, video, and subtitle components. As part of the fix, it doesn't matter what shows and aspect ratio people use to watch The Simpsons, but basic features like continue watching or autoplay will continue to work. This was paramount to learn. They explained those existing features, were crucial to Disney Plus streaming service, with them adding that, quote, 4:3 versions couldn't be treated as standalone bonus content. So basically, everything exists in one single package. So you got to be able to switch between 4:3 and 16:9 seamlessly, but also have two sets of subtitles, 2 sets of audio that go with that stuff. This comes in a quote, to support both the original 4:3 aspect ratio and 16:9 versions of The Simpsons, we needed to challenge prior assumptions and rethink how content for streaming is packaged and delivered. We introduced a new Disney Plus app feature today that not only gives fans a chance in viewing video viewing formats, but also opens up a number of exciting opportunities of novel ways of presenting content in the future. That's pretty cool that they're able to go back after several months and fix this stuff up. Really is very, very cool. Listen, if you like what you heard here, head on over to the website, cpluscomedy.com, where you can see a bunch of interviews with your favorite comedians. If you want to see a video version of this show, and I don't know why you would, but you can. Because we're back in the office, baby. I meant to say that. We're back in the office. I'm back in the office. The girls above me have moved out. Oh, man. That's the only reason I was able to shoot news time here. Head over to youtube.com/cpluscomedy. You can see the whole 37 minutes. Or by the time I cut this, 36 minutes. You can also there watch News Time, which is our premiere video show. It's like the Daily Show, except unfunny. I take one story and I run with it. This week was talking about how Hollywood was going to be reopening, and talked about Gavin Newsom's 6-step plan, and then also the cold open is a parody of Opening Up from Waitress the musical. So if you like that, then there you go. Check it out. You can head to rate and review us on Apple Podcasts, or wherever you get your podcasts. Rate and review, please, and follow us on Twitter and Instagram at @CPlusComedy. Follow me on Twitter and Instagram at @ChadBlackWhite. Like us on Facebook. There you go. That's the end of the show. We are out. Please be nice to each other. Don't be racist. All right? Jeez. Bye.